Hi, a bit about the Poverty Agenda. The Poverty Agenda is a platform where professionals in the business of poverty alleviation investigate, review, and discuss the politics of scarcity and its impact on global human resources and human rights, and share stories of human resilience and good practices that have alleviated the poor to a position of hope and strength. The Poverty Agenda is a channel on YouTube promoted by Mr. Akhil Jugran, who has over 30 years' experience as a development practitioner and consultant. I've been asked a question on whether this is a public or a private venture, and I'd like to state that the Poverty Agenda is a private initiative promoted by Akhil Jugran, who is based in the UK to provide development professionals everywhere a platform to discuss and share their experiences. This initiative is not sponsored by any government, public or private or non-government organization. This initiative is non-political and non-religious in nature, but will not hesitate in discussing political and religious impacts on poverty alleviation. The number of poor people in the world in 2022, before the COVID-19 pandemic and the current cost of living crisis, was around 1.2 billion people, globally spread across 195 countries, living in acute multidimensional poverty. The global poverty line was updated in September 2022 from $1.90 to $2.15 per person per day. In local terms, this means that a single person in the United Kingdom needs to earn £25,500 a year to reach a minimum acceptable standard of living in April 2022. A couple with two children needs to earn £43,400 between them. With just over 1 in 8 people in poverty, with most fearful of the unpredictability of their futures, their inability to effectively address the challenges they face on a daily basis, helpless to voice their concerns, to be counted and included in the democratic decision-making process that is applauded as the most effective and compassionate, has also seen examples of those who have successfully emerged from this gooey, sticky, heartless, bottomless spiral to live full and effective lives. But realizing the enormity of poverty at the global level, I understand any success made to alleviate poverty to be the exception rather than the norm, with exceptions frantically waved as one would a white flag to attract attention, applause, and funding. Recent learnings gained from the events of COVID-19 and Russia's war on Ukraine and the rest of the world have made it very clear the fact that those in control of resources can and do manipulate their availability and profit from creating scarcity. Although we've seen it happening all over the world in what we term hotspots, those events haven't really affected us as much as the Russia-Ukraine conflict, with the scarcity of food grains and gas, the impact on the movement of goods across nations, and the reallocation of country budgets from development to defense and other portfolios. The beneficiaries of conflict are those with the resilience and wealth to change as the situation resolves to find its place in the natural order. As seen in past events, the instability created by a continuing fear of the world having to face conflict and new pandemics unprepared, an unstable and declining global economy allows the resilient wealthy, who comprise many fewer than 20% of the world's population, to stockpile essentials and fortify themselves against the worst imaginable nightmare, while almost 8 billion people remain insecure, being at varying levels of resource vulnerability, who believe themselves succumbing to starvation, disease, and death. Hi, good evening, Bivas. How are you?
Okay, fine. I am fine, sir.
Yeah, great, great. No, it's very nice for you to come and join us at the Poverty Agenda and to share your professional insight into poverty and the root causes of poverty, and of course your organization and your organization's engagement in battling against something that I would call a bottomless pit. So, um, if you can introduce yourself to our guests who are watching, and then we'll carry on from there. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for giving me opportunity to discuss the matter. And it is a matter in after COVID-19. It is a highly important matter. Okay, and the poverty situation kind of. I am Vivas Chatterjee. I am from India, and I am just working with Gram Niyojan Kendra. It is about 35 years I am with Gram Niyojan Kendra
Okay.
working, and I had the opportunity to work in this sector, social rural development sector, and I was basically worked in the grassroots level organizations, and initially different projects, different funding agencies. Uh, I have implemented projects in different areas of the India, and now I am with our head office in Ghaziabad, Gram Niyojan Kendra. And next, okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's great. I mean,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
35 years?
Yes, yes,
35 years?
yes. Hmm. Huh?
That's a long time. That's a lot of experience. Um,
Hmm.
Now, but the topic is general. It is poverty continues because its root cause is not effectively addressed by the government, private sector, and charities. Now, can you, from your point of view, well, from your professional point of view, and from maybe your organization's point of view, can you tell us, or can you comment on this statement that I've just made, that the root cause is not effectively addressed by government, by private organizations, and even charity organizations?
Okay. Definitely, definitely, because whatever you have told, that is true. And whatever, just after discussion with you, my concern is about just I have pinpointed in 10 points. Okay. And the root causes of the poverty. The first point is whatever I think, whatever working with this a long time and different parts of India, particularly Bihar, West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Rajasthan. First point, I think it is an education. And just I am pointing down the different points. First point in education. Second point, I thought the information. Nowadays, technological day, the government is trying to provide different information to the people, but it is not reaching. And third point, what I have think because as far as it is somehow it is linked with the education. As they are not educated, they are not skilled enough, because skill, and there are different causes of also on the skills. The education skill institutions are not there, but they are not that much capable to be a part of that skill institution. They are not being able to afford whatever the resources they require. And third one is use of resources. Whatever the resources are there, they are not the resources are not being used. And fourth is transportation. Transportation is one of the causes, because whatever, if you link with the business and other kind of things, transportation is required from going here to there. And third point is area specific planning. Area specific planning is not there. Suppose just last 22 years I worked in the Eastern UP. Eastern UP, there are hardly any industry kind of things. There are two or three industries, agriculture based industry, that was sugarcane industry. And apart from that, there are no industries. And the families are having small holding, small patch of land. And as there are decadal growth is there, as the families are increasing, the land is divided between the brothers, and it is too much, very minimum. And it's very difficult for them to just grow product agricultural products and sustain for the family. So this is one of the point. And third is the market is the developing market, that is developing during the phase of or technology, but that is somehow not, till now it is not linked with the whatever the rural area that is being produced. Suppose in that area, particularly rural area, that terracotta kind of things made of some items, but that is not being linked properly linked, because somehow that is linked to some other minimum extent, but that is not linked with the greater one. And thirdly, government facilities. if we see the government facilities are there, but those are on papers only, because that those are not reaching to the people, the needy people. And that is the major challenge, because if you see they on the different schemes, programs, government are launching lots of programs. The people, general people does not have the information, and if they have information, it is very difficult for them to access. And then secondly, for just somehow there are different organization working, and they are giving how to set up the business plan, and for the resources is required. Resources is available from on behalf of the government, but that is not reaching. And finally, just see, that is the that is corruption is the one of the major challenge in India. Even the government, lots of programs, schemes are there, that those are not reaching with the needy people. But on the other hand, they are going to the big industrialist, the kind of they are just taking, they are manipulating. If we see, there are some examples of that, they are taking a lot of money, and within that money, a lot of farmers and agricultural laborers can have their loan and start their business. So these are some of the points which I face, which I feel some of the major causes of poverty, and just bringing the people for livelihood options.
No, it's a
Thank you.
fantastic, it's a very comprehensive list, and
Mm.
I think it's very informative. The global distribution of hunger. As many as 828 million people go to bed hungry every night. The number of those facing acute food insecurity has soared from 135 million to 345 million since 2019. A total of 49 million people in 49 countries are teetering on the edge of famine. The spread and causes of hunger. It's a deadly combination of four factors. Conflict is still the biggest driver of hunger, with 60% of the world's hungry living in areas afflicted by war and violence. Events in Ukraine are further proof of how conflict feeds hunger, forcing people out of their homes and wiping out their sources of income. Climate shock destroys lives, crops, and livelihoods, and undermines people's ability to feed themselves. The economic consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic are driving hunger to unprecedented levels. Costs are also at an all-time high. It's clearer than ever that our food systems in their current form are inadequate to the task of sustainably ending poverty and hunger. This is expected to further hurt prices in regional food markets such as Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, and South Sudan. The changes in the food market caused by the invasion of Ukraine further exacerbated existing drought problems in the already vulnerable Horn of Africa. Concern worldwide has identified the 10 hungriest countries to be Sierra Leone, Lesotho, Liberia, Niger, Haiti, Chad, Democratic Republic of Congo, Madagascar, Central African Republic, and Yemen. But there are many more. The BBC has stated some time back that the UK is sleepwalking into a food supply crisis and the government must step in to help farmers, which is the National Farmers Union has warned. Some of the general causes of food insecurity include poverty, unemployment or low income, lack of affordable housing, chronic health conditions or lack of access to health care, systemic racism, and racial discrimination. The Guardian stated that political upheaval and revolt, starvation and famine, conflict and instability, climate crisis and hunger, and food and politics were the main contributors to hunger. Food availability on global peace and security. At the moment, the world produces about 4 billion metric tons of food per year, but about 1.3 billion tons goes to waste, according to the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO. However, global food production is incredibly efficient. The world's farmers produce enough food to feed 1.5 times the global population. That's enough to feed 10 billion, while right now we are at about 8 billion. Despite this excess, hunger still exists. The world's top four food-producing countries are China, India, the US, and Brazil, and they share the advantages of large populations, ample land area, and climate zones suitable for growing a variety of crops. Efforts to revive the agriculture sector and trade and increase food security have had positive effects on the sustainability of peace. The creation of jobs, particularly for young people, and the enhancement of livelihoods in the agriculture sector help reduce the risk of violence. The FAO has launched an initiative to link food security and peace. The goal of the initiative is to contribute building the necessary political will to eradicate hunger within this generation and to build sustainable peace. First, let me introduce the panel. Yeah, we'll start with Sumaira Malik. Sumaira Malik is a US graduate, has worked at the international and national levels in managing the monitoring and evaluation of projects focusing on Afghan refugees and human rights, women empowerment and child development, quality management and capacity building, and public and mental health and disability inclusion. She is skilled in various aspects of project management, and Sumaira lives in Pakistan. Welcome, Sumaira. Yeah. Now, Rajendra Bhandari, yeah, has over 20 years of development experience, first as a frontline worker, then providing capacity development for partners and government reps with compliance and reporting requirements required by international donors. He has extensive but focused experience working with international NGOs and management consultancies in establishing financial administration and internal control systems from inception to closeout, while including the flexibility to course correct and capture modifications as lessons are learned. Expertise also includes sub-grant management, operations, human resource management, as well as capacity building and training. Mr. Bhandari, Dr. Singh is not here, but I will still introduce him. Hopefully things will work out for him. Dr. S.N. Singh is head of Department of Economics he'll explain which college or university is from. Is occupied with understanding the linkages between natural resource management, sustainable development, and population, and is regarded as an authority in development economics and policy perspective. Dr. Singh lives in India. Now, Mark Paul is a non-participant observer. He's not supposed to participate in the focus group discussion. He's a consultant, currently involved in managing a national biogas program in which a network of 50 NGOs installed around 100,000 units. He was previously a consultant in rural development to NGOs who worked in various aspects of poverty alleviation, including watershed management, alternative agricultural practices, and also the health and education sectors. The topic of Mark lives in India focus group discussion is many believe that poverty continues because its root cause is not effectively addressed by the government, private sector, and final charity. Thoughts on how poverty could be better managed or alleviated in Pakistan?
Yes, for me, when you just summarized our discussion in terms of this transparency, and then you also said about, the right approach, the use of right approach. For instance, the right skills should go to the right people, and there were also this you said about the corruption. The findings of the closure findings of our discussion today. So I'd say that these are. The poverty alleviation also moves around these things. For instance, the government people, if the economy is not very strong, if the country is not very rich, and when you have this advantage of external bodies or NGOs or the development organizations who are coming to your country and providing your support. See here, this is the place, or this is the entry point where a country can really take good measures in terms of giving people empowerment, making people empowered enough to build the right skills towards self-earning, instead of the mindsets are that they have to do some 9 to 5 jobs where they don't get so much earning. We should be focusing more on on the skill development programs, right people for the right skills. At the same time, I'd say that we should at the country level, what we can do is we have a lot of spark, we have a lot of resources in terms of the land, the weather, everything is really perfect. All we need is to become more honest with our land, with our country. And by that, that's where I would say that if Pakistan tries to improve its where we say is like we have we are getting, for instance, we are bringing wheat from another country, which is
Sure.
why we are buying wheat from other country, where when we talk we have a perfect land for growing of wheat.
Mm-hmm.
What government can do is just install some good equipment, get some good seeds, the proper pure seeds, and all this is needed.
Mm-hmm.
So empower your own people, and instead of just going to other countries and getting their their things.
Yeah,
So
of course.
these are the small things I would say. Then at the same time, with it's more of the economic power is empowerment is very important for the country.
Yeah.
Like a country should really focus on not changing the behavior in terms of not going to every donor and having this begging behavior.
Sure.
We need to change this behavior and
Yeah.
empower our people,
Yeah.
because we have everything within the country. All
Yeah.
we need is to just put some focus on different sectors. So
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely. No, that's very nice. How about you, Rajan? What do you think about what what should change to be able to effectively alleviate poverty in Nepal?
Yeah, actually, the last few years, our country we have gone through the different political changes and different movement. Yeah, now compared to, as Samira said, that there is a lack of empowerment. Actually, in our country, people are more empowered compared to the last few decades. And one good thing is, very good thing is that now previously the women were within the house. They are not going. They were not going outside to do the job or business something. Now the women they are going to the outside, and they are starting the business and doing their work. It's good thing. And previously the only one have a many dependent. Now the everyone is working, male and women and men. Regarding this corruption, people were aware, and they are putting pressure to the government officials, even in the bureaucrats. When they are living in the community, people are, whenever they got the opportunity, they are asking to them how you earn this much, and definitely it will reduce after this election. Government have a pressure to control this corruption and this mismanagement. Definitely it will improve. One thing is that the difference is that our migration, because of the high migration from hill to mountain to the Tarai area, because of the migration, we have been losing the fertile land, and we have a very small fertile land. But the another opportunity is that we have a big resource of the hydropower, and very big hydropower going to start, and the small as well. And now people have awareness, and the youth who are coming back from this urban country, for they were previously they were working as a labor in the other country. Now they are coming back with some money, some funds, and they are starting some agriculture farm, livestock farm. yeah, it definitely increase the GDP. Uh, Challenges is still whatever the earning from a farm or livestock that is not contributing to the family for or not increasing their level of yeah, standard, yeah, because of the high, yeah, this inflation or the yeah, cost of the living cost, disposable cost is very high compared to the other
Yeah,
places.
yeah, yeah. No, sure, of course. I mean, investing in agriculture in the hills and in rough terrain is much more expensive, than is requires a much higher investment cost than doing agriculture in the plains. It's just the natural. Thank you very much. I think we've taken a lot of time. Thank you very much. I mean, it's very informative. It's really nice to hear from you, Rajendra, in Nepal, and from Sumera in Pakistan about what you feel as professionals the situation is. This is not regarding any specific organization, and this is not being critical of government, but it's just stating what you feel are facts. And I really appreciate you for that. Thanks, Mark, for joining in.
Yeah,
And I hope it's not as tough as you thought it was. It's been great. It's really been nice, and thank you very much for contributing to this. And you are, like I said, you are the pioneers. So thank you very much. An observation from the Planetary Project states that many years of experience of the UN, the Red Cross, and other international charitable institutions suggest that substantial food aid does not solve the problem of poor countries because they address symptoms rather than the cause. Special food and charitable programs, however numerous they may be, have a one-off character. It is not correct either to rely on the resources of industrialized nations. They suggest that we address the poorest countries' scientific, technical, and industrial economic backwardness factors, uproot the unjust system of benefit distribution, and stimulate the abandoning of archaic forms of agriculture in favor of scientifically sound and technologically modern methods. Rearing rabbits for meat and fur. A profitable meat rabbit business can be started with just 3 or 4 does, females, a buck, male, or two, some basic equipment, and a buyer. Is it worth raising rabbits for meat? In about 12 weeks, you'll have a large quantity of healthy, lean meat to feed yourself and your family. A trio of rabbits can produce upwards of 600 pounds of meat in a year, which is more than a dressed 1-year-old steer. Can you make a profit off rabbits? Rabbits have the potential to be one of the more profitable species to raise. They often give birth to large litters, and offspring grow fast and reach either market or breeding weight more quickly than any other. How do I sell my rabbit meat? With the proper license or permit, a farmer can sell their rabbit meat to retail outlets such as restaurants, grocery stores, and farmers markets, wholesale or to customers directly from the farm. Restaurants featuring locally sourced foods or French or European fare are potential markets for rabbit meat. And why eat rabbit? Well, rabbit is one of the healthiest, leanest, and most environmentally friendly meats you can eat. Compared to beef, pork, lamb, turkey, veal, and chicken, rabbit has the highest percentage of protein, the lowest percentage of fat, and the fewest calories per pound.